Do you know what I'm talking about? The Matrix. The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us. Even now, in this very room. You can see it when you look out your window, or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church, when you pay your taxes. It is the world that has been pulled over your eyes to blind you from the truth. What truth? That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
Think about it this way. Winter comes. Pipeline is shut off. Germany says to Russia, we will do anything. We are freezing. We need the energy. And Russia says, stop the support for Ukraine. And they say, anything you say. Turns the switch, gas flows back into Europe. Let's say the CIA or whoever, who knows, the US blows up the pipeline or damages it to such a degree. It will not be able to provide resources. They can't up the pressure. They can't start the flow. It'll leak out into the Baltic. Now Germany will not be able to go to Russia and beg because Russia has nothing to offer. The only outcome now is they have to keep supporting the war.
If Russia invades, that means tanks or troops crossing the border of Ukraine again. Then there will be no longer the Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it.
How will you do that exactly? Since the project and control of the project is within Germany's control.
We will, I promise you, we'll be able to do it.
I mean, I grew up in a world where, and speaking for myself, I actually believe that conspiracy theories were the way that dumb, uninformed people explained a complex world.
Yeah.
You couldn't understand what was actually happening, you resorted to a conspiracy theory, and that was a mark of a low IQ.
Of course.
I'm here to warn people. You keep telling me to shut up. This isn't a game.
Now, I always think this, the more informed, the smarter the person, the more likely they are to be connecting the dots that you're connecting. So you grew up in a world where people just like assumed that the system was not on the level, I think.
Well, it's called cognitive dissonance. It's like, you know, the government is, you know, has done corrupt stuff. You know, there's classified levels of intelligence that you'll never be a part of, but you have cognitive dissonance thinking that the government has your back. They don't. It's a personal people control system. They want to control us. And that's one of the biggest parts of why they want to keep you depressed, because Tucker, when you're constantly depressed, you're in what is called fight or flight. So your hormone response is constant cortisol. And that's why Brian Stelter, those guys, they constantly have the ticker on CNN, how many people die, because people get addicted to that hormonal response. And once you're in that fear state of fight or flight, you can't see the forest for the tree right in front of your face. So then they can literally, like a dog with a treat, they can make you do whatever you want. And that treat is just more trauma, what I call trauma-based mind control, just more fear tactics in order to control you. So that's what's happening now, is the mainstream media uses fear to control us, and that's the same mechanism that the government uses.
I couldn't agree more.
Hi, Elon. Yeah, so my car is dead. No, like the battery's charged, but it's dead. Like, it will not let me in. I can't open any of the doors. Can't even open the trunk. Dead. When I tried to earlier, roll down these windows. I mean, I guess that's good because at least I can, like, reach in to do the emergency unlock after this doesn't work, you know? I don't know. So I can, like, reach in. Oh, there it is. Right there. Do you see the lovely flickering? I don't know. That's weird. We're not responsive. I don't know. And the roadside people don't know what to do. Also, my entire garage smells like rotten eggs. Which, I mean, I guess is fine since it's the garage. But, I don't really know what to do.
Oh my days. Now this is how you can rewrite history with the Orphan trains. So the Orphan Train movement was a supervised welfare program that transported children from crowded eastern cities of the United States to foster homes, located largely in the rural areas of the Midwest. The orphan trains operated between 1854 and 1929, relocating about 250,000 children. So let's do the maths. Imagine when these children grow up, they have 2 or 3 children of their own. Let's say 250,000 times 3. You're looking at 750,000 adults that had their names changed and their place of birth changed. How would you know who's who? Or how would you know who you really are? By the looks of it, this was big business. And of course, there was corruption. And what I want to know is, where was all the parents? You see, it's not hard to rewrite history. All you need to do is get rid of all the parents and elders, relocate the children, and you can teach them anything, and they will believe you.
I just went down an extremely deep and eye-opening rabbit hole. I might have to make 2 videos. This video is 3 minutes long. I apologize in advance for the length. So the rabbit hole started with this stupid TikTok that was like, you don't have to pay any of your debts. And they cited HJR 192 of the 73rd Congress, which actually was repealed at a certain point. Which got me wondering, why would the government be like, okay, yeah, you don't owe us anything for the next however long, and everything that you owe us right now, we're going to completely forgive it. Like, what made that start? So apparently the United States has been bankrupt 3 times. The first time before they were technically even a nation, the second time in the 1800s, and the third time in 1933. President Roosevelt said, screw gold money, we're not going to use that anymore. Also, everyone's gold money, I want you to turn it in. So that was when he issued the 3rd bankruptcy. And so when that happened, essentially the government was obligated to give the people something of equal value to the gold that they took. And so now our money isn't actually worth anything tangible. So even though they took back HJR 192, they still never actually gave us anything tangible in return for that. So actually, as far as I understand it, and I could be wrong, please let me know in the comments, but as far as I understand it, the American dollar is actually just a debt note. So every American dollar that you have in cash is just a note of debt that you have $1 of the United States as debt. Which begs the question, if America has no tangible money, then how do we spend it? The answer to that question is T-bonds, treasury bonds. Essentially, it's an IOU from the government, the federal government. You give the government like a huge sum of money, right? And then they say, okay, well, we will give you this money back with interest. As long as there is a United States government, this is a really safe place to put your money. So guess who buys all of these? Banks. Banks. Banks buy so many of these, okay? They buy them habitually. And when I learned that, all of the pieces came together for me. So we put money in the banks for free, and then the banks take our money and invest it in the government. The government pays them back with our taxes. And then we borrow money from the bank that we gave our money to for free, that gave the government money that the government uses our taxes to pay back. And then we pay the banks extra money for giving us our money back that they invested in the government. So I've heard this in bits and pieces before, but I didn't get every single piece of the puzzle right. Like, first of all, our government is still bankrupt. Like, the United States is bankrupt. Who knew that? I didn't know that. They don't teach that in history books. And that's how.
A lot of people are asking, what can I do with the electroculture? How do I do this? And how do I get the harnessing of the earth? And here you go. Perfect example. You could take a little piece of wood, you could wrap some copper right around there, place that right into the dirt, and that will work like an antenna that will gather ether, which is the energy that's all around us that Nikola Tesla, Wilhelm Reich, Victor Schauberger, and all these people talked about. And that energy will then come down into the dirt. It will magnetize the dirt, so the dirt will become stronger. And this is a plant that's just put on the balcony. So this is nothing even in the earth. This is just on the balcony, but you can do this with your plants on the earth as well too, and it will enhance the magnetism. Basically what happens is our soil starts to get dried out because the magnetism of the soil, it starts to deplete and it pretty much becomes dead. There's no more life force or ether inside that soil, so we need to reestablish that and harness that and bring that back. And this is a simple technique you can use. We put up more techniques on our website, cultivateelevate.com, but you can take your gardening to a whole nother level and grow more food very, very simply without doing much of anything. You don't need pesticides, you don't need fertilizers, you don't need chemicals, you don't need sprays produced by Monsanto and DuPont and all these chemical companies that are trying to patent nature. Just a little bit of wood, a little bit of copper, or even use a little bit of brass, because the copper zinc ratio in there is a little bit better, and that can even yield even more. Wish you guys all a happy day.
And one of the last things that Dr. Mendelsohn said before he passed away, he told a friend, Clinton Miller, he said, you know, I've had to come to the conclusion that all of our doctors today are nothing but drug pushers. And that was a harsh assessment, but I would tend to agree with him, because what the doctors are doing, they're simply writing prescriptions for the drug trust and loading people up with all these things. And in the Library of Congress, I found some very small, unknown books by various doctors, doctors who are dissenting from the medical practice over the past 50 or 60 years. One of them was a Dr. W.B. Clark of Indiana. And in his book, I found a very interesting sentence. He said, I never saw a case of cancer in an unvaccinated person. Now, he wrote this in 1936. So, to me, that was quite a revelation. And other doctors have said the same thing, that vaccination is really a time bomb within the human system that can go off 5 years, 10 years, 40 years after the end of the vaccination. You can have this time bomb go off. You can have a stroke, a heart attack, because it's always there in your system. You never get rid of it. And apparently it's always an alien force in your physique.
Hey guys, Zen from Moms Across America here with huge news. We sent off 43 samples from school lunches, moms and dads and students from all across the country, and we tested them for glyphosate, 220 pesticides, 108 different veterinary drugs and hormones, a whole slew of heavy metals and nutrients. And guess what, folks? Our school lunches are toxic. The government is allowing the poisoning of our children at schools. The levels were crazy. 95% of the school lunches were positive for glyphosate. 74% of them were positive for some other type of harmful pesticide. There were like 29 different harmful pesticides in the food. There were high levels of hormones, and the heavy metals were off the charts. 100% of them had high levels of heavy metals. Some of them about 6,900 times higher than what the EPA allows in water. So check out the results on momsacrossamerica.org and share it with your friends.
All right, today we're going to talk about how we can find out and how much we can find out and what it takes to get there. So first we have to decide how much do we want to find out. So let's say in this case, I want to find out at a level of 7. Okay, so I find that level on my graph and I come horizontally to my gradient line. Where it intersects with my gradient line, I'm going to come straight down to where it intersects with my fuck around line. That there is going to tell me how much I have to fuck around to find out what I need to find out. See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out. So I hope this lesson is helpful.
The dystopia warning's very fucking strongly implied. So the pound crashed. I'm coping with the impending financial crisis by chuckling. And I've been drinking since 9. And the Daily Express is evidently coping by smoking crack. What the fuck is that? Now, despite most of the press and most of the broadcasters being against them, Labour are 15 points ahead in the polls because I think the people in this country strongly suspect that something's fucking wrong. I mean, this is a bit of a giveaway, but I strongly suspect that key government figures are in cahoots with millionaire, billionaire hedge funders who are often the second employers of those MPs to deliberately fuck our economy so those people can profit. In real terms, we'll lose our houses, which those hedge funders will buy up on the cheap. And I think this is all being done under our noses. It's got very strong insider trading vibes. Remember this creature? I talked about him in my video in March. He helped bankroll Jacob Rees-Mogg's hedge funder investment firm, Somerset Capital. He was married to Rupert Murdoch's daughter, Prudence. Murdoch was very good friends with William Rees-Mogg, Jacob Rees-Mogg's dad, who literally wrote the book on disaster capitalism and how to profit from economic decline. Crispin O'Day denied he was backing Brexit as a shorting opportunity. Then, oh look, he made £220 million the day after the referendum when the pound crashed. He has very strong links to this Windy Wednesday. Rees-Mogg was very pro-leave. He's taking 22 grand from O'Day. Rees-Mogg's pro-fracking, climate change denier, who's got really strong links to fossil fuel. There's more. O'Day helped fund Johnson's leadership campaign, and it's alleged knew about the prorogation before everyone else, profiting from your country's declines about as patriotic as lying to the Queen. Yeah, there's more. Look at who was employed by O'Day Asset Management, Kwasi Kwarteng, our Chancellor. Look who's profited from this latest crash. It gets worse. Apparently, Liz Truss met with hedge fund managers days before her spending plans were announced. Every single one of them a supporter of Truss. Every single one of them shorting the pound. What they need to answer, and they need to answer fucking quickly, is whether or not they told those hedge funders what they were going to do so they could make their gambles and profit from our misery. What I need you to do is tell everyone you know that this is happening, because this is as dark as fuck. I strongly fear that our government, people that we elect to spend our hard-earned tax money, are making decisions deliberately to destroy our economy, and they call themselves patriots. The French wouldn't take this. Everything would be on fire.